my goodness, but I wanted to see how well this would work. So I'm going to go over to share my screen, and only one participant share screen, and I want to share it through my phone. No, share computer sound. God, I'm going to have to pause. What? No, share computer sound. Stop it. Okay, so we're going to have to cut all this out. Share screen. So share computer sound. Optimize screen share.
Yes.
Share. So I wanted to start with this clip because you've never seen this before. I mean, you've seen it since, but it just makes me laugh so hard, and I have no idea why. We were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because when we were playing Apex, our younger brother Nicholas, we were talking about Exodia from the series Yu-Gi-Oh! And he had no idea what we were talking about. He was like, what the hell is a Yu-Gi-Oh! So that means he doesn't know Magic the Gathering. He doesn't know the lesser Digimon.
That's true.
But the funny thing is this. So it's an older guy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! VR. Didn't even know it was a thing. Sounds dope. And he's trolling this younger kid.
I summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck!
That's not what it does.
Roll my dice! That is what it does. Pot of Greed! Draw 3. I summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck! And I summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck! Then I play Magic Force! Which allows me to play Pot of Greed once again to draw 3 additional cards from my deck!
You know he's right. And I attack and I win.
You
right?
know he's
No.
right.
You don't have any. Well, you don't have any monsters, and
Oh, he's supposed to be here.
What?
Oh, you got the
He puts a
Celtic
monster
God.
down.
My turn. I summon Dark Magician. I also summon Jack's Knight.
What? How? You can't
What are you
summon a bunch of
doing?
cards on one turn. It's against the rules.
You never saw this coming. I summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck.
That's not what it does. It doesn't
That
do
is
that.
what it does.
It doesn't.
That's what it do, Yugi.
That does what it do.
Yugi?
Oh, that last is just, that's
love
not what
that.
it does.
That's so-
I like his friend that's hopping him up. That's what it do. That's what it
what
does.
do.
He's
Yeah,
got
I
a
love
point
that.
here. I just like that.
So
He's
dumb.
that he just can't, he's like, you can't do that. Well, yes, I can, because I'm gonna play this card, and then I'll summon this card again.
Summon Pot of Gold.
Just for 3 additional cards.
Yeah,
I just thought it, like, the fact that he did the voice with it, and he's like, yes, that is what it do.
That's so funny. If you on Twitch, there's always like these random genres and like obscure games that no one really plays anymore, but they do have like a large cult following. That Yu-Gi-Oh card game that is on PlayStation and other platforms, I guess, is on Twitch, and it has a really popular fan base on it still, where it's just literally 2 people just play Yu-Gi-Oh against each other with their digital cards, and that's all they do all day.
That's so interesting. That, like, what just a very weird concept. That I understand video game tournaments, because that, for, I guess it's just because I play video games, that because it's the same concept. But to me, it's weird. And if you break it down to like, well, why is it weird? There's like, yeah, then it's not, but it's weird to me. So fuck you.
It's weird. Fuck off. Okay. That's all.
But it's just interesting that people can play like Yu-Gi-Oh in these long tournaments and still find like poker to be boring.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I mean, it comes down to just a regular card game, but it's just, you think if you like one card game, you would like another card game. So I don't.
You ever seen somebody get hype over like the World Championships of Poker?
No, but I do when like the bowling comes on late at night at TV, they like do their third strike, and they're like, oh my God, Travis is gonna go for his third strike, and he does it, and he does like the Tiger Woods fist pump thing, or like the.
Oh,
That's why they call me Ace.
unholster.
Yeah.
On gun holster pew pew.
Yeah, and everyone there was just like, oh my god.
There was this one clip, and I wish I could. I wish I would have had it ready. It's this guy who like hits a strike to like win the set or something. It wasn't even like to win the finals. He like hits it, and he's like, "What? That's right. Who am I? You're goddamn right." He was so excited to get a strike, he couldn't even say like what he wanted to say. And I don't know,
an actual sentence.
I think it's funny when that happens, like regardless of the sport, when they're just like that one guy who was running for Senate, or no, he's running for president. And you saw that meme. He was like talking at a big crowd, and they celebrated what he said. And he's like, "Yeah."
It's like Dominic when he gets really excited and things that he doesn't know about.
It's just so, because like you're so used to only seeing like kids do that kind of stuff that I love it when people just get overly excited about like mundane sports is when it's funnier. Because it's like just, if it's something like golf, when like he needs to hit this putt and then they hit it and then Tiger Woods is like, eh.
Yeah, he's just like that. He does a little, yeah.
It's just so funny because like on other sports you could feel like the electricity, and then I mean I've never been to a PGA, what do they call it,
PGA tour?
Well, no, because the tour would be the whole thing. What do they call that? Is that a match, a session, a round? I've never been to a round.
I'm assuming a round because it's a round of golf.
I've never attended a round in the PGA, so I can't imagine. But to be fair, I mean, I firmly think that
have we been in like a PGA tour? Like,
we don't have any golf courses. That's
I'm like, I don't think our golf courses are up to par. Pun.
We need to get a bell. Ding,
ding dong.
It's our term. But so before we get into our topics of so the AirPod Maxes have come out. Well, they're coming out. I'm not exactly sure when they will, but I'm sure
they're coming out on the 15th, I think. Apple's like randomly dropped them out of nowhere. I woke up one day and Twitter just blew up with AirPod Maxes. Right? Am I saying right? It just sounds wrong.
Yes, they are AirPod Max.
Yeah,
not Maxes, AirPod Max.
Yeah, for the longest time, when you hear AirPods, and Apple has done like a big wireless headphones or pods, that's just, they're two pods that you put in your head in the two holes where your ears are. And yes, Apple has just changed that, like I said, and then they have the AirPod Maxes that are the headset, and it's just like,
it doesn't make sense. You would think that the AirPod Pros would be AirPod Max, and these would be like ear pods. No, because earpods are the wired ones. They backed themselves into a corner.
They shot themselves because of this, and it's like, I don't know. We can continue before we go down this topic.
We'll get to our rants about that in just a minute, and then we're also going to talk about Cyberpunk's big dick energy, and then the great things that are going to be coming to Disney in terms of nerding out, and then we're bringing back a very missed segment. Can you guess it? So I'll tell you guys the can you guess it that we have, so maybe you can think about it, and then when we get to that at the end of the show, you guys can say, oh, I totally got it, or not. So Tony's is, we started a movement. So whatever the hell that means. And mine is Santa's packing heat. So go ahead and Santa gets Extend Z from 7-Eleven. Do people actually buy those?
I want to buy it and try it, but I'm afraid because it's in this little weird pill thing that I don't exactly know what.
I'm afraid it's going to be like in The Office when Gabe throws that party at his house to watch Glee or whatever.
Yeah.
And Andy drinks that seahorse because it's supposed to make you like more suave. He's like, I think
to give you big dick energy.
And then at the end, he's sitting there. He's sitting there playing. He throws up on the bed and covers it with the pillow.
With the pillow, and he's just. Oh. It ends with Gabe doing that soundscape, and then Andy's just
he's like I call this like Requiem for Midnight. And he's like, oh, that's very nice.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, so let's before that, we were just while we were while we were just like looking for topics and like doing our research on these things, I came across a really funny headline that said AMC warns it'll run out of cash in January, calls out Warner Bros. Shift to HBO Max. So the reason that that's the stupidest headline that I've ever seen so far is because that deal hasn't happened yet. That deal, as far as I know, that deal does not go through until the end, like next year, right? Because no movies
it's a lot
have
of
come
gray.
out.
It's a lot of gray area because they were talking more like about it that I was reading, and they're saying Gal Gadot, the person that plays Wonder Woman, she already knew this was happening, but like Keanu Reeves and not Keanu Reeves, what's his name? Yeah, is it Keanu Reeves? The Neo?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves didn't know about it, and other celebrities that are in these like new movies that are only coming out to HBO Max next year, none of them got the word about it. And I feel like Keanu Reeves is a higher actor on the pedestal compared to Gal Gadot, who's been in like 3 or 4 films, where it's just Keanu Reeves is like his movie credentials just span like almost 50 years or whatever it is. And it's just like, okay, but why didn't you tell me about this? I would be more selective of what I'm picking and choosing on doing as an actor, because it's probably going to go off of like movie sales and the actual box office tickets rather than views over online.
But here's the thing of like that argument makes sense, but actors care that people see their work.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that they will be paid less because of this. Because
no, I think it's just because, more like a back end deal.
The people who carry the risk would be HBO, because HBO would say, look, no matter if this flops, you're covered anyway. If this makes more money, then you like, I assume it's you get a set amount, and then if they make over that, so the details on this still haven't exactly been released. Like Tony was just saying, they're gonna take over in 2021 with all the movies that are slated from Warner Bros. Here's the thing, not very many things come from Warner Bros. That's not like, it's not like you're saying, let's say like what Disney, what's Disney's so like Lucasfilms.
Yeah,
it's not like you're saying Lucasfilms they're going to drop Star Wars only. Exactly. All 20th Century Fox. You're not saying that these you're not saying that these are all going to HBO Max, but AMC's saying that it's frustrating because with the pandemic and before the pandemic, not like they were doing hot. They haven't been doing hot for a long time.
Yeah, people just don't go to the movies that often.
I mean, this has been a topic since I was in high school.
Since Redbox came out.
Yeah, pretty much since Blockbuster came out.
Yeah,
like if you want, like it's like that's when it started going down. Because I'm like, I would rather wait for it to come to Redbox, or if I can rent it. Like I've rented a lot of movies just off of my Xfinity, because it's like, okay, pay me $20 and you can watch the movie. You'll have it for 24 hours. You can watch as much as you want. And because the main reason being is I don't have to find a babysitter. I can order in food. I can drink and watch the show. And if I need to go potty,
I can just watch that bitch and not have to worry about stepping on somebody.
Well, exactly. And it's like, especially, I actually don't mind movies going the route of like Infinity War and Endgame, where it's 3 hours plus, because as long as it's an entertaining 3 hours, that sets up. Like if you're talking about something like the Titanic, shoot me. That's that kind I don't care about. But when you're building up like a finale to a series like that, I want to watch the whole thing. Like I would have watched Endgame and Infinity War over and over again anyway. But like I had to watch it once in theaters and I missed things. Granted, it only takes you a minute or two to go to the bathroom, but you don't know what's happening. So you don't know if you're going to miss something important.
I don't think anything's going to happen right now. I got to go. Yeah, I did the same thing. I drank like whatever the medium sized is at that Legacy Theaters. I don't know what actual, maybe 44 ounces. But I had a giant 44-ounce drink and I finished it before the preview started. And I'm like, I got to go pee. I got to the part where Hawkeye was Ronin and he was killing bitches. And then I had to dip out. And then I came back and everyone was talking. And I'm like, Shit, did I miss anything good?
See, in Endgame, because I don't remember what I missed in Infinity War. In Endgame, I missed the reveal of Fat Thor.
He's like, who's this guy?
I missed the reveal of Fat Thor, and then I missed two things. Because during the Fat Thor, like that's like the beginning of the movie. So like same thing as you, like you sit through the previews because usually they put like the Super Bowl, you put good previews in front of great
good
movies.
ones are the box office ones to get people to go there.
Exactly. Because so like of course like well it's exactly like the Super Bowl. So it's a good job, Matt, for that comparison. I want to see the previews to see what's coming, and I want to see like because like we just said, they put the great previews there. Yeah. And so you get there, sit down, you're eating the popcorn, you're drinking the drink because you're an American, you're bored, you don't have anything to do, eat. So I drank all my drink, and like we ate all the popcorn by the time like right before that scene. So I went to go pee, get a drink, and refill the popcorn. And then by the time that happened again, no, I think now I'm thinking I missed two parts in that one, but I'm thinking of Infinity War now because Gamora dies in Infinity War, right?
She dies in Endgame.
But doesn't she die? No, she dies in Infinity War to get the Soul Stone.
Yeah, she dies in Infinity War.
So I remember about Infinity War. So I had to leave during that part, and then I'm getting them confused because then Scarlett Johansson dies in Endgame because they again need the Soul Stone. So I happened to miss both times in theater to see the most dramatic parts.
The saddest part in both movies, and you missed it twice.
And it's because like in a 3-hour movie, it sounds like a long time, but it's really not, because when you're trying to wrap everything up,
if it's well made, it goes by really quick.
Action. And the problem is from what I remember, it cuts to that scene because it's building up every scene independently, and then it groups them together in that act. So it cutscene, and I'm like, okay, that scene's over. I'm gonna go now. And then I come back, and Coda tells me, oh yeah, she died. And I'm like,
Now I'm gonna have to wait till it's on Redbox to watch the stupid scene.
Because I'm not gonna go again because there's also just too many people that talk in movie theaters.
That's true. That's another pros. I mean, I'm for and against this whole like movie. We talked a little bit about it off air, but I'm for it. Like you said, it's easier to do things in-house. Just like, okay, I rented 2 movies. I rented a movie for Jess and me, and I rented a movie for the girls. The girls are upstairs watching the movie on their tablets. We're downstairs watching on the big TV. We can pause. We can move about. We can do our own commentary during videos and like when we're in the movie theater without having to like interrupt other people. But in the same boat, it's also like certain directors have a vision every director has a vision for their film, whether it's shooting it on like a really expensive camera or shooting it on like a film camera, shooting it just whatever way they want. And most of the time it's like when you shoot on a more expensive camera, you shoot it and like you have it on a big screen to showcase how awesome it is and like the beautiful aspect ratio of like the 16:9 or 21:9 or whatever the movie theater thing is.
Let me pause you right there. That's one thing I've never understood, because like you've asked me about aspect ratio because of when we record this to try to get in different formats. So when you're thinking of a movie on the silver screen or even the TV, how do you know what aspect ratio to use? That couldn't you just, there's not an option for like shoot it for as if you're making it for a movie theater, shoot it for that. I assume it's a more expensive camera, but get past like I'll acknowledge that, I assume, but wouldn't you want to shoot it as if it's presenting for this? So when you scale it down, it can still be a higher resolution than shooting it for a 100-inch TV and you only have a 60-inch TV. Wouldn't it be a more detailed picture if you don't have to use IMAX cameras, but you can still use aspect ratio for like that big of a screen, and then when you scale it down, wouldn't it just be a more defined picture?
I know what you're saying, yes and no. When you shoot movies, people don't understand it costs a lot of money to shoot films. That's why they always have like, they throw out these big numbers of everything of like how expensive stuff is. But when they shoot it at, I think it's like 1080, and then they upscale it because they shoot it on like a different kind of camera. Because if you shoot a film on a 4K camera, okay, well 4K is already 4 times more resolution and data than 1080. So you would have to have more storage, more sets of everything that could cover that kind of stuff. Or if you shoot 8K, it's 4K or it's 4 times the amount of 4K. And it's just like, that's a lot of extra data. That's a lot of extra things. But also when you're editing it in post, it's a lot difficult to edit that kind of stuff because you need newer equipment. But when they shoot it in like the 1080 format that you're talking about, and then when they shoot it on the screen, you can change the aspect ratio in post. So it's like you want it for a video, like a movie theater. Okay, we could change the aspect ratio to this, right? Like this. Oh, we are going to tune it to an actual DVD. Okay, then we can change the ratio again and then make it fit. So yes, you can condense it and make it sharper. But when they do it, they just shoot it in one square and then they can change the square.
Okay, so you can only go down. You can't go up.
You can, but if you go up, you lose resolution.
Yeah, so that's what. So
Yeah.
essentially, my question is, or the answer is, it's just too expensive for budgets.
Yeah, for most, it just doesn't make sense.
Because you wouldn't shoot in 8K because those
Yeah.
like that would be ridiculous. But like if you shoot it in 4K, the storage, the cameras, the lenses, everything you need would just be too expensive. And then to edit it,
Yeah.
it's just more back end stuff. And
Yeah, it's just more. I mean, it will be worth it, but at the time right now it isn't because it costs so much, just graphical wise. Like my computer right now, it's a 2015, I think, Mac. And it is running, it can do 1080 films or 1080 videos, more or less. If I try to throw 4K footage from like my phone or a GoPro, where it's like, technically it is 4K, but compared to 4K from like a camera, like my actual camera, it's not. It's a night and day difference. But when I try to edit it, it just blows up. My computer can't handle that. So it's like the amount of tech, or like the most expensive PC setup on the planet is what you would need to be able to run this 8K film.
And you would need multiple of those.
Yes. And you would also need more storage because with bigger cameras, they require more energy just to save things to the actual memory card. So you can't just like throw in a terabyte in memory card and call it good. A terabyte would fill up in a few seconds.
Yeah, interesting. So I guess that makes more sense. But back to what doesn't make sense is to blame your failing business on companies moving towards the future.
Yeah, you think you would have planned ahead and adjusted towards
exactly. Like Warner Bros. Is saying, hey, so we're not making as much money here as HBO's pretty much. So they're going to do a fail safe of, we're going to give you this much money and they'll more likely than not work out. If we pull in more because of this, you'll get X amount. But that way, if you have a flop, like Marvel had with the Hulk with, what's his name? He was in Fight Club. Edward Norton. If you had a flop like that, then you wouldn't have to suffer as much of the financial loss. They would be like, oh, I already got my money. Yeah. So that's why I don't think that actors would necessarily care, because the companies are still going to put up the money and then they're going to hope that it like an HBO or a Netflix would pick it up, which is how I assume like Netflix gets these bigger actors now with their originals. Like they'll have Ozark with Jason Bateman, who directs, produces, and stars in it. Or
they had Sandra Bullock in one. They had
Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, and they had Adam Sandler.
They've had a lot of, and Dave Chappelle for stand-up.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle was on there. His show was on there until like recently, but
until he did like the most baller thing and was like, this is right. This is wrong because they are not paying me. They're using a loophole in the contract.
Any of the syndication money from this, but
and then they're like, okay, pulled it off.
I guess that's fair. But back to the whole thing. I'm for it for those reasons. I'm against it, like I said, because directors have a certain vision for it. They want to add a certain aspect ratio to view its super awesomeness. Like the movie Tenet that came out, it was shot in Super 35 film, It's expensive. It takes more time to do, and it's an overall better image just because
when you say Super 35 film, what does that mean? Because like, is it like, I imagined it would be like the studio cameras don't run on film like you imagine a projector running.
Yeah.
So what does it mean when you say like the film? Like, is that like, does that pertain to the lens and the data type it saves, or is it like literally they still use film reels?
I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
So you talk to me like I'm 5. Because I've always wondered that when people say, oh, well, it uses this kind of film, and it's like, oh, well, isn't it all digital? Because that's what makes sense.
Yes. It
Why don't they just shoot it on an iPhone? Let me ask you this.
You can shoot it.
Comparatively, what type of film would be, I guess my question is, when you say film, what resolution does that amount to?
It just depends on the sensor size of like the thing. Like a certain sensor size can only do an output of so much of it.
So then film is essentially output resolution?
Yes.
Look at that. I got there myself.
Super 35, it's just 35 Super 8 was like the original film that came out 70s and stuff like that. Super 35, it is like the digital version of that. So it's like a full frame, but in digital film form.
So essentially it's like a memory card?
It's like full frame, I think. Because I'm not super into like I'm still really new into this whole movie thing, but I'm pretty sure it's like digital, it's digitized like Super 35. It's Super 35 but digitized.
So
like,
my question is that like a memory card?
No, it's a camera, like a red camera. Do you know anything about them?
I've seen them and they look cool because they're a cube.
Okay.
They look like a Nintendo GameCube.
Yes, they have different ones, but Guardians of the Galaxy was shot on a red camera, I think, which is one of the first, because normally it's like when you think of movies, it's like this really big camera and stuff.
Like the
Super 35.
Yeah,
Super 35.
The
just like
IMAX ones that are like $35,000 a day.
Yes, and that's pretty much what that is, like the Super 35, and it's just like, it's awesome because it does more sharper image, more data, just more colors, things in post. You can make things look so much better, and it's so beautiful and stuff. And then it got the whole world got shut down, and so the movie kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then they finally were like, okay, let's do theaters and then a home release and see how that works. The director was upset about it because it's like, I shot this for this aspect ratio, not for your phone, not for your TV, because I don't know what this is.
That makes sense.
Like, I have this vision and it's going to look beautiful this way, but you guys are watering it down because you're watching it on your iPhone or you're watching it on your TV, or it's like, how many times do you watch something on your phone and then you come home and then you watch it on your TV, which completely changes the whole atmosphere of everything at the same time? Or it's like,
yeah, there's definitely no arguing that if you were to watch Endgame for the first time on your iPhone XR, it's different than watching it on the silver screen or even your home TV. Like if I were to watch it on my 50-inch TV.
Yes.
So like that makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is being a director, directing anything, this was the question I originally asked Jess, our first interviewee. And I don't think I phrased the question correctly. Because I still don't even understand how to phrase it now. I don't understand how directors see something that doesn't exist, but they want to put on paper or like on film, or if they're an artist, how do you see something that doesn't exist? Like if that makes sense, because it's like, okay, I want this to sound, or I want this to look this way, so I need to do this, and this. Like it blows my mind how like these directors, like let's take James Cameron, because Avatar was a very it's like visual porn without being inappropriate. Because porn is visual. I mean, like it's like like the colors, the cinematic view of it. Even like Ozark, we can take Ozark.
Yeah.
Like even that is like, if you know what to look for, people say that is one of the most beautifully directed and shot things. And like Jason Bateman is the director of that. So it's like, I don't understand how, and maybe you can answer that considering you've done so many different like side projects, whether it's your, you were most recently vegan for 30 days and you did a vlog once a day for 300 for an entire year. You've done a photo for a day, an entire year. So how do you, when it comes to the video aspect, how do you like think of something and then be like, okay, well, I want it this way?
I see the market as it is, just like as a whole. Like, I'm not the first person that's done a 365. I'm not a first person that's done these 30-day series things, but they all run the same formula, recipe type of thing. And it's just like, I don't like it this way. I'm going to do it this way and see how this works. And that's just the best answer I can give you.
Oh, so it's essentially
like when you make music, like there's people that do their own music, like that write music, but there's also people that like do covers of music. And for the most part, a lot of cover bands, they sound the exact same. That's why they kind of just fall by the wayside. But there's other artists out there that can do a cover of a song, but they make it their own, if that makes sense.
Like Johnny Cash singing Hurt, even though it's Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, it's a Nine Inch Nails song, but you wouldn't have known that. It sounds like something Johnny Cash would have made. And for the longest time, people were like, no, that's not a Nine Inch Nails. They copied it from him. But in actuality, it's like,
or what is it? Strumming my pain with fingers. That was like originally like the Bee Gees, and then somebody else covered it, and then the other people that covered it.
Yeah, it's something in Wyclef. What was their band name called?
I don't remember. But so it's essentially directors just go off of, I like how this was shot, so let's shoot it like this, but change this, and then they can fix they can finish their color grading in post. So do directors have I mean, obviously this would change role to role, but like take James Cameron. Is he known for having a hands-on approach in post? Because if you direct something, I assume you're like, okay, let's get more light over there so I can see this better. You say this line like this, and then in
directors
post,
have control over everything on set.
Okay,
like everyone listens to that director, whether
even producers.
Yep. Well, that's where it gets kind of weird because producers have a job, and their job is to like make it people want to watch it. Directors have the idea, make the idea come true. But sometimes when a director has full control, it could be the best thing on the planet, but it can also be the worst plane crash you have ever seen. So and it's just like, did you watch True Detectives?
No, that's the
season one was amazing.
That's the one with like Burt Reynolds, isn't it? Or Tom Selleck?
No. True Detectives season 1 has Woody Harrelson and what's his name? Matthew McConaughey. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But those are the two actors in it. And I don't want to spoil it. It's a good series. Just choreography, just color grading. It's a beautiful show. And the second season came out, I was super excited because it has Colin Farrell. He's a very underrated actor. And it has Amy Adams, and it has who's the guy from Dodgeball? What's his name?
Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, I think.
The tall guy?
Yeah, the tall, ugly looking dude.
That's a Vince Vaughn.
And it has some other like well-known actors in it. But that movie fell flat on its face. It was a beautiful film. It was just like the first one because it had the same director, but the director had full control over everything. So
essentially the producers make it sexy. So like a director would say like, I like this. And they're like,
they'll show everything. And then the director, they'll like give the final product. And then the producers are like, this doesn't make sense. We need to either elaborate with more shoots or cut it out completely.
That makes a lot of sense because I've never known that. So I'm glad we've went on this tangent.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I did a quick little research. Super 35, it isn't digital, but the way they film on the actual like film stock, it captures more image in the film stock where the audio would actually go.
So when they're still filming, so when they film movies, they still use physical film?
You can, like this, like with I know Super 35 was a film thing, but I thought it was like digitized after in post. But it's film, like when you see a reel of film or like a photo negative, it's like a little square with a little sprocket on the side. It captures all that. It captures everything in that little sprocket, like that little film slide, instead of the side where like the audio would go. Audio is something separate on there.
That may,
So
like, it makes sense that they would film because you have boom arms, everyone has mics, they have the supersonic mics. So it makes sense that you do not need, like with us, we need to do it like this because production, like we record them at the same time.
Yeah, because there's pros and cons again with digital and film. Film looks better because it gives you like that graininess. And like when you look, like even on games like Call of Duty and these other new games that are out, they have like a film grain overlay where you can have it like medium, low, intense, and whatever. But it's just like, it's hard to convey over words. But when you see it, you can tell the difference. And then it's hard to go back if that's what you really like.
So essentially to equate would be like vinyl versus digital. Like
exactly.
Like vinyl.
Thank you for taking my head mush into making it into an.
Well, because like in music when they record, a lot of places still do it to a physical, like audio recording.
Yeah.
That's not just digital because then it's easier to do vinyl, and two, it's a more rich sound.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, and it's just same thing with photography. Like lots of people shoot film for that reason, that it looks better than something that is captured digitally, unless you get like a super expensive camera, like a digital camera that can mimic film to an extent.
That makes sense. But AMC, you're dumb for doing, AMC, you're dumb for saying that you're going to run out of cash because of this.
I didn't even know it was legal for that. I think they would have like contracts, like with movie theater companies and like just companies that make movies.
They most likely do, however, contracts expire.
That's true.
So the contract's probably expired.
The year, but if it expires because of this,
and with more people staying home, HBO has been making more money. And like they've seen with their recent success of Game of Thrones, which just wrapped up, they made so much money just because of Game of Thrones and Ballers and Veep, all their exclusive things, that maybe now they're like, if you do this right and you get like top-notch shows, they're probably going to do like an ESPN Plus, or like UFC does with ESPN Plus with pay-per-view, is you have the subscription, you want to watch this, it's an extra $20 because it's still technically in theaters. Or it's not coming to theaters and blah, blah, blah. But because it's like, that actually makes a lot of sense and I would do it.
Which is like weird because like a few years ago, HBO and like Stars, they were going out because other companies
isn't that
like
crazy?
Netflix and Hulu came in. But then, like you said, HBO got really good with the writers for just new series that you're talking about. And it's like, okay, now it shot them right back to the top. And then everyone else is kind of just falling by the wayside.
And if these companies can start, you look at, I think it's Showtime partnered with Hulu. If you have their student thing, now you can get like Hulu, or the student Spotify comes with Hulu and Showtime. Because it's like, they'll cut you in so that way your business can at least stay alive, because nobody's going to Showtime. Even unless I think the Dexter reboot's coming back.
I think Dexter's going to that. There was one show I wanted to watch. It was like Black Sails or some shit like that. I don't know. It was like a pirate.
But show. let's get into our actual topics.
Our actual topics. This is a freebie topic. So
I learned a lot. That's all that matters. The AirPod Max. So if I were to tell somebody, so they're gonna go from an audio jack to no audio jack, and they're gonna include headphones still, but they're a lightning connector, but they'll give you a dongle. So even if you still have headphones like I'm
I
wearing.
didn't even see a dongle thing on them.
I'm talking like iPhone 8.
Oh, I thought you were talking about with the Maxes.
No. They stopped giving dongles too out of capitalism. And then I were to tell you, eventually we're going to have these things called AirPods. They're going to connect to your iPhone very quickly. They're very nice. They actually have a pretty considerable battery life. Everything about them is pretty great. Then now we have AirPod 2s, like an hour longer on each, and wireless charging. And then now we have AirPod Pros, which the case is the same. Turn them sideways. They last even longer, better quality, noise cancellation, spiral audio, and transparency mode. So since they have the little gummies, I'll find that, like when I'm doing research for this podcast or my other podcast, I'll like be watching a YouTube video, but if my kids are still like in the room and I want to listen to them, I can be researching a subject on YouTube, typing my notes, and then have them on transparency so I can still hear everything around me. And that's very nice, because I mean, it's annoying to have to constantly take your headphone out and go, what? And you can just turn on the transparency and just turn down the volume on what you're watching.
True. I do that. Well, I have mine fully noise canceling because I don't want to hear the kids or Christmas music right now. But also I do like doing the what? Because enough times they'll get the point.
I do that
alone. Headphones are in for a reason.
My problem is I have my hood up a lot. Like when I'm actually focused, I have to face my main monitor, and I'm typing over on my left side monitor. And if you guys don't know, I have 3 monitors. I have my Mac, which is its own computer, and then I have Eduardo, my gaming PC, that has 2 monitors on it. So I don't need to look at where I'm typing. I know what I'm typing. So, and with errors, it's like the is THW. So I'll know, or like it'll have like a little red squiggly line like, did you mean the? And well, fucking obviously.
Well, dumbass.
I know. And it's like, why the fuck didn't you just spell it right then? And it's like, because I'm trying to type while the video's going.
Fast. This is my shorthand, you dumbass.
It's so having that audio is nice, and the new introduction of the spiral audio just means a better listening experience. It just gives you a deeper sound with whatever you're listening to. But these new AirPod Maxes, when I heard the term, I legitimately thought that they just one-upped the Pros. And I was like, I haven't even had these for a year. But if you were to say, what do you think an AirPod Max would look like? I wouldn't even be able to tell you that they're over-ear headphones. They look a lot like Beats Solo Studios.
Yes. They look a lot like the retro ones too that came out with like vinyl records players that you had to put those big headphones on. They kind of have like that 70-ish vibe. It's a hard pill to swallow, like we talked about earlier. It's just like Apple spent so much money in marketing, get rid of like the actual headphone idea, and we're putting pods in. And then we're going to give you different variations of pods, whether it's the first generation or the Gen 2 that you said that have the charging case, and then they have the Pro ones that are like the transparency modes on them. But now it's just randomly. I know this is the middle of a pandemic, but these are AirPod Pros that are $550.
Yeah, so I'm just pulling up an image for them. So if you're watching the YouTube, you can see exactly what we're looking at.
You can either get a next gen console or AirPods. Next gen consoles can play games and do entertainment purposes, like stuff like different subscriptions that you have, or you can get AirPod Maxes.
What really kills me is the key points that's like if you want to see like a really in-depth like review of them, MKBHD just dropped his like yesterday, the day before, already has millions of views, and it's actually a very good no thanks CNBC trash.
It's a very comprehensive
exactly, like he does one of the best personally. that I believe personally. But it's just funny. Like these key points say, CNBC takes first look at Apple's new $549. $549. It is more expensive than next gen. That's next gen and a video game. So that's absolutely ridiculous for one. They're charging that much just because it's Apple. And we all know it. But it's just funny because their key points say they feel high-end to match the price with the steel and aluminum design. I will give them props because if you can see, on the video, obviously you can't see if you're listening, go to the YouTube. It's through Anthony's channel, Juicebox Tony, or just search AirPods Max. But go to the YouTube. You can see what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a different sweatshirt today. I actually really like the look of the, what do you call it? The arm, the extendable arm.
Yeah.
Because I think it looks a lot better than like my.
It's a lot better than most. There's
than
like
my like solos are just like plastic, or even like these gaming headsets. It's just plastic that goes up and down. Where that's a very smooth, and then you can like secure it so it doesn't like move all over.
Yeah.
And then they also write as a key point, they sound good and are comfortable.
Which, to be fair, ear fatigue is a big reason why not to buy certain headphones.
But to be fair, if you're going over ear,
$500.
So there are. This is a misconception. There are in ear, on ear, and over ear. So like you have in ear right now, and then I have over ear. Because what that means is to reduce ear fatigue. When things sit on your ears, it is uncomfortable because your ear is not supposed to be compressed for a long period of time. So you've had a pair of Beats Solo 3s. Those are on-ear headphones. Mm-hmm. So on-ear is the one that compresses your ear. So these are essentially just over-ear headphones. They're essentially Beats Studio 3s because Apple acquired Beats for $1 billion a couple years ago, and essentially it was a smart move because now they can use all of Beats proprietary technology, which in my opinion, they do have the best sound, but they're a little overpriced for what the sound is, considering
compared to other things.
Like when you put this in the realm of boys, Boys make some great headphones for $550. I would much rather get a pair of their top of the line, top of the industry headphones as opposed to Apple's. I love Apple, love them. But if they would have charged $350, I probably would have considered getting these.
I would consider getting them because for the podcast, I don't like that they don't have a 3.5 jack.
Oh, I was gonna tell you. So I remember us talking about that. They have a space for it. Okay. Here's the thing. It's $40 for the adapter. Ugh. I assume that it's going to be, because like the pictures I've seen, it has like the little area for it. And I just have to mention this. The case looks like a purse.
Yeah, it looks like a clutch that my child carries around the house. Or like they had some memes of it looking like a sports bra, like a really cheap ghetto one. But it's just...
That's hilarious. So like I'm back on the screen sharing. So again, I'm going to try to tell you guys exactly what we're looking at. But the case goes, so they don't fold flat like like most... like the Solos do. I'm just going to use the Solos because that's the easiest comparison. Like they fold into each other to collapse smaller, so you don't have such a big case. These look exactly like Anthony said. They look like a clutch, but they're a smart case. So whatever the hell that means, essentially they charge in that case.
They charge in that, but when you put them in that case, I don't know what's in it, but it goes into a low power consumption mode. Where if you lose the case, you don't have that option to put them in low power mode, and you have to there's no on and off button on them. So it's like they have 20 hours of audio, but depending on how long they're out of the case without being in the low power mode, I don't know with that. You can have them out for 2 days and my AirPods are dead.
It's definitely very interesting considering they used the same knob as like
Like
the Apple
the
Watch.
Yeah.
And then they have this, so it's essentially the same buttons on an Apple Watch because it has the clicky thingy to change songs and the knobby thingy for volume. So it that definitely makes sense.
Can you like change sound or change music?
Right. So you can by doing the click. So you do the click twice,
okay.
click 3 times, click once.
So
the same that you do with the clicking on the AirPod Pros or double tap for the AirPods. So right here, they don't have the 3.5 headphone jack. So you need to buy an adapter and a cord if you want to use them with non-Bluetooth devices. So the biggest issue with that is it's they don't include it, but they make it. That's lately that's been it's hypocrisy is the number one thing about companies that bugs me. That's why if I'm going to do something, like if I get the newest iPhone and they say, or like with the ones that are, what was it about the newest iPhone? Oh, the USB-C plugin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to if I get a new iPhone, I'm just going to wirelessly charge it because they upped the technology in that. And I'm just going to wirelessly charge it because what you're not going to tell me is we're trying to save the planet. By the way, if you want one, we sell them in the back.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's
that doesn't make any sense to me.
There's two answers. There's the answer that they have. They don't want to do it because it's more money for them, but they'll give you the BS answer that is actually a good answer. It's like it's good for the planet.
Yeah,
but that's not the answer they want to tell you. It's like this is expensive technology, and we're actually going to go portless. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen next year by looking at this headset right here. But it's just like, we don't want to tell you that. Because even if they do go wireless next year, like I think they're going to, everyone that has the USB-C to Lightning cord, they're making more garbage than they did before with the Lightning to USB-A or USB 2.0. But it was just, my only concern about the headphone jack is just like latency. It may be a few seconds, but honestly, if you're doing a podcast or anything like streaming wise, whether taking a phone call, playing video games, shit like that, and it's just like if there's latency, it's enough to bother you to take them off and not use them again. Where it's like I'm using in-ear headphones that are like the little Skull Candy Beats, but they're connected by a cord, and I don't have to worry about any latency because when I'm talking or you're talking, there's no like just latency.
Yeah, and the other biggest thing is the size of them. So here they actually gave a size comparison. They're about the size of a normal bushel of bananas. Like when they're collapsed. So like
American thing to do.
Imagine like this is like a 5 or 6 thing bushel, medium-sized bananas. So what doesn't make sense is why you wouldn't make them collapsible. That is such.
Why can't you bend in just like the Beats? That's what I liked about them. I hated them because I don't know if it's my ears are shaped funny or what, but it was just I had a lot of ear fatigue on them, whether it's because my ear was too big for like the little cushions. Or what, but I could wear them 40 minutes and then I'd have to take them off.
Well, the biggest issue with that is it's not necessarily because they're not meant to go over your ear. They're meant to sit exactly like that. So like if you look at your ear, they're meant to just sit right in the middle part of your ear. Yeah, so that way, so the speaker, the speaker is supposed to be right on your ear canal. So that way, because that's where the ears are. It just rests on your ears and it fatigues your ear, which is why over ear ones are the selection I got for my gaming headset because they like you can also get some that have vents so your ears don't get sweaty. So
I don't have to deal too much with ear sweat. It was just like the top of my ear, the cartilage would just get like achy. And
that's definitely a common problem. It's the same like I had a little bit of that with my Power Beats Pro, the beats that wrap around the ear, but they're totally wireless. It took a couple weeks to get used to it because it would hold on to your ear and it kind of made your ear sore.
Yeah, you have to what's it called?
But yeah, so don't let anybody lie to you. These are not AirPods. They're over-ear headphones from Apple. Yeah, don't let them lie to you. I don't care what they say. If they try to tell you otherwise, punch them in the wiener, send them my way, and I'll assist you in the wiener punching.
And I'll assist by doing another wiener punch. Yeah, I just wish that they would fold. Like you said, they took all the proprietary stuff from Beats. I loved them that they would like collapse in, and then you could push them up, and then you have this weird looking C, but it still took up less space, and there was no this weird little. You think it would go into low power mode if you would just push them in and then push them up.
Yeah,
that could be it. There's no satchel, no little weird looking thing with it, and if I lose it, I'm not going to be out $70 having to buy another one.
Yeah, that's very fair. Let's switch topics over here and talk about Cyberpunk 2077, the game that was announced. When was that game even announced? It was announced
like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say from everything I've read so far about it, it was announced about that almost a decade ago. And would you look at that? Much like The Last of Us 2, which only got Game of the Year because of the technology that was used to make it, it doesn't live up to what somebody would assume. The last thing to live up after that amount of time was The Incredibles 2.
I hated that movie.
You didn't like Incredibles 2? It wasn't as good as the first one.
It wasn't as good.
One, Mrs. Incredible is thick. 2, they had thick other supers. So I'm on board, and it just
not like thick chicks. I didn't like it. They took too long, and I felt like the story was based too much on. I don't know how to say this without being like.
It's already offensive because I know what you're going to say. I'll say it. It was based. They let social justice get in the way of it being about supers as a whole. They focused on Mrs. Incredible because she gave up her career to let Mr. Incredible be an accountant who ended up being a super behind her back. And everyone was like, well, maybe now it's her turn. I hate to tell you, not every woman wants to go back to the workforce after having kids. Maybe they get lonely. Doesn't mean they want to go be a super.
It was just yes and no to what you said. The plot was based too much on Mrs. Incredible being better than her husband.
That's actually a very fair point.
And it's instead of it being like The Incredibles was a family one. Everyone worked together, but this one was like, no, she has to be better because she's a woman. And it's just like, I understand what you're coming from, but it's just, you can't be reverse sexist to combat the sexism that's already happening. Because if you're doing it this way, then other guys are going to be, oh yeah, well, big pee-pee talk. They're going to do this. Like Jessica did this, showed me this funny thing yesterday. And I was joking, but I think she thought I was being serious. But she was like, 60 or 50 years ago or whatever it is, we landed a man on the moon. Why did we stop? It's funny, but I was like, Jessica, you can't say stuff like that. It's 2020. I'm a man. I find that offensive. I don't understand why you can laugh at that kind of stuff, but I can't. And if I make that kind of stuff, you get mad at me. And she was like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about it like that. I was joking. But I was just like.
But what's funny is you were joking, but people on the other side would even say what I said is sexist or even what you said was sexist. Is like, no, that it doesn't make sense that's what this movie's about, but not the other. But we'll get into that in we'll get more depth into that when we talk about Disney Plus, because I have a rant on that too when we talk about Disney Plus and what's coming all to that. But so the main reason I want to get Cyberpunk 2077 is because I want reality to be whatever I want it to be. I want a 12-inch hog. And in that game, I can get myself a 12-inch hog.
But I can in the next one.
That's what I mean. And so when I can customize somebody, people can make other people look like celebrities. I want mine to look like me, but with a 12-inch hog.
That's fair. I wonder that could be your thing. Is
a 12-inch hog?
No, 12-inch hog you. No, the thing is, I told you off the air, but you can be. They'll send you their face. Like, I want you to make my face in this game, and then you spend however many hours finally detailing and making me in the game that looks just like me.
Yeah,
and that's just your whole thing. You don't play the game for them. You just create the person for them. But Cyberpunk came out, like you said, it was announced like almost 10 years ago. It had a lot of ambition, and a lot of big things are going for it. It's an open world action RPG, kind of like Mass Effect and Borderlands to an extent, where it's like Mass Effect, where it's story driven, where you do have an actual mission, like Grand Theft Auto type of style, but you interact with people, and then there's ABC conversations you can talk to about, and then whatever you answer or however you ask and phrase questions changes the gameplay. So there's multiple endings. I'm assuming there's 3 because there's 3 career paths you can start with, but it came out 8 years ago, and it was supposed to be for this generation, as in Xbox Series. What's the Xbox last generation? There's so many series things.
Xbox last
One?
generation?
Is it Xbox One?
Xbox One. Well, one and then
there's
one
PlayStation
S.
4, and then Xbox One X.
One S.
One S. It was supposed to come out for this previous generation, and it got stuck in this weird loop time thing because the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S came out. The game plays perfectly on the next gen. It doesn't have the same frame rates as like PC and like the PC route, and PC for the most part doesn't have any bugs. I mean, most games have some random things at launch, but with PlayStation and the Xbox 4 or PlayStation 4 and Xbox, there's these random like bugs where characters, the NPCs you're talking to, aren't actually talking to you. They're like wandering around aimlessly, or you're, in those games where they have like the random T characters that they don't actually move. Their arms are just, they look like a T. They're just walking around, or they like randomly disappear. Just you're talking and they just here in front of you, and then they're up here and they're over here. Or sometimes your eyes like are all funny. But the big thing is when you make a big dong on your character in this game, the clothes sometimes glitch out, so your clothes disappear. So you just have like this big dick. You're just naked for like a few frames, and then it cuts back in, or your big hog comes through your pants. So it's just like you're talking, and then your dick just comes out of your pants leg, and it comes back in, or it just like just wiggles, and it just
that like
so it's just a random bug. But
What purpose
it's like,
would that like? That,
why would you make a big dick in this game? There is a few moments in the game where there's like sex scenes, but I don't. You can't stream those for just rules on the different streaming platforms, but they talk about the different sex scenes in the game, and I don't know how they work because you can't stream it, but it's like I'm assuming you having a big dick might have a way the game's going to end differently if you have a little dick.
Definitely, it's definitely very interesting in the sense that, so I'm trying to get used to switching back and forth to like what we're talking about. I'm trying to get it on the screen while we're talking about it, and it's definitely new from a producing sense on my end.
From Cyberpunk's thing, it's like this happens because we had to make the game for 4 different consoles, but they're like, well, you should have just made it for 2 because it was supposed to come out a long time ago. And they're like, well, we do have some fixes to make it work. You have to like turn off the film grain that we talked about. You have to turn off like the advanced filters for like the game, just lower the resolution in it, and turn off the motion blur, turn off the depth of field, turn off the lens flares, do all these things that your PlayStation and Xbox are like supposed to be able to do randomly, or not randomly, supposed to be doing perfectly fine on their own. If you do all that, it'll work just fine, and you'll get a clear 720p footage out of it. But they're like, this is PlayStation 4 and Xbox. We should be getting at least 1080. My PS4 Pro does say it does it at 1080. It does say that there is some graphics, like some weird tweaks and stuff like that that's happening, but it's like,
I mean, to me, that's what makes sense when Call of Duty says, hey, so I know this bug happened, but they have a reason to release it on every platform at once. That's the expectation ever since multiplayer has been a thing, when essentially since Fortnite switched to cross console, that's when the expectation was this needs to come out at once for all these platforms. This does not have that. This was announced way before that expectation, because Fortnite's thing has only been recently. It's only been of the past
It's
3,
only been a
4
few
years, maybe.
Yeah, see the CD Projekt Red, or I think that's the company that made it. They're a small game company based in like Sweden or something. So it's not like they're a big
Yeah, but they're like,
Activision.
yeah, like they, but like the point of that, me bringing that up is, it's not like they immediately started across platforms. Like nobody's done that. Nobody's said, hey, you need to make this available on all platforms, because of course that's going to push it back. Of course. Then all of a sudden, when you started it for Xbox and PlayStation, then you need to constantly, okay, well, now we need to go back and re-up it because now this technology is available. So now we need to push the date back. Now we need to do this because now this is. Why wouldn't you just, let's drop it for Xbox and whatever, and then like they did with The Last of Us, they made it for the PlayStation 3, and then they remastered it for the 4, and then they dropped it. They dropped the new one for the 4. Why wouldn't you do it like that? And then like, okay,
you're just over ambitious, and then just like,
well, like they did with there's a more recent game, that Borderlands, is that what it is? That looks like Beautiful Joe. Yeah. So like they did that, they dropped it for the consoles, and then they redid it and dropped it for PC.
Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, it does. I think the biggest complaint is that it came out that long ago, and that's when they built so much hype for it. But they also, Xbox has like this really awesome collab with like different game companies where they make really cool Xbox consoles, and they made a Cyberpunk console, like a Cyberpunk Xbox One X or whatever it is. It looked awesome. It came with like the console, and then you could buy like the external hard drive that would play off of it, and it was like this cool controller and headset and all this other. If you look it up, it looks awesome. It's something I wanted, and I was like, oh my god, that'd be so cool. And it was limited edition, and I thought I was going to bite the bullet and just jump into the Xbox bandwagon and just have 2 consoles for a little bit. But it never came into fruition because the world ended and the game kept getting pushed back. So there's no reason to like sell the console for a game that you can't have. It just doesn't make any sense at that point for it. So it was just, people are upset, but at the same time, it's like we're in this mid-generation bump. So if you buy the new consoles, you don't have to worry about it. But it's just people that are stuck right now that don't have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series S or Series X. It kind of just sucks.
Yeah, I've right when you said that, I just decided to pull it up so we can all see, because I wasn't even aware of that. So it looks that controller looks cool as shit. Dope, man. God, so it's a 2-tone with a zigzag right down the middle, silver on one side, black on the other, with red letters for the YB, X, and A. And then it has the cover art on the actual box, and the box isn't that interesting. So here's the actual console. Oh, that console looks freaking awesome. I don't even know what this game's about really, but the console, what is that console supposed to look like?
It's something from the game.
So the console looks like a token from the, looks like an old school memory card.
The same art from the thing. So it's,
and then here's the back of it.
Yeah,
it looks like no future. So it sounds like my high school guidance counselor. But you said that, and I've never seen it before, so I thought I'd bring it up.
It looks cool. I mean,
it looks awesome. I mean, for the Xbox One X, 1 terabyte Cyberpunk 2077
it was supposed to be
console bundle, Tony, it is $850.
Yeah, so you could buy last generation for a console of a game that you can't play on the generational console, or you can buy your next generation with the controller and the game.
Counselor, you're speaking out of turn. There's only 2 left.
So let's just go halfsies on it.
I get it even days, you get it on. On a leap year, we'll figure it out.
Like a kid. Yeah, we switch between every major holiday.
Kid. But this thing has been getting dragged through the absolute mud when it comes to the reviews of it, simply because the reviews have just been awful. On the PC, it's actually been a little bit better than reviews on other things. And
PC has the best experience.
That being so, it sits at 2.3 out of 10 for the PS4. 2.3 out of 10.
Oh, and the frame rates. I forgot to mention that. That's a big thing.
What's the frame rates?
The frame rate is, I think they said it's hovering around 14, where it's supposed to be like at least 30.
That's crazy.
I mean, 24 frames is what is traditional cinema. 30 is like usually what digital stuff is. But 14 frames is just like when you're watching YouTube without Wi-Fi, sometimes it gets blurry and then gets kind of laggy and little 8-bit for a sec. And that's kind of what this is. It's just like you're talking, your guy just random stutters. So it's really bad. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing whatchamacallit, the patch notes and stuff, or like a patch to try to fix and try to resolve some of this, but
yeah, who knows? It's sitting
don't get your hopes up anytime soon.
So then that's there's a lot of reasons why it's sitting at 2.3 on PS4, and it's
supposed to be playing better on.
Oh no!
Series X.
Wait! I'd like to apologize to the listeners of our podcasts. The user score is 2.3 on PC.
Oh, really?
On
Why?
PS4, it is 1.9 according to Forbes. That's the website we're looking at.
Is this after the patch
now? And this is not after the patch. This is before the patch.
I mean, the game came out like Wednesday.
So
or something.
Media Critic recently changed the system so that users couldn't write reviews until 24 hours after a game is released. But probably part of this could be review bombing, like they're saying. So take this with a grain of salt. However, if a game actually was great, I could tell you this: it wouldn't get 2.4 out of 10. And on PC to not even get 2.
Everyone that I've seen says it's amazing, and I wanted to play it because, like I said, it's an action RPG. For the most part, I like those kind of games if they're more action-based ones, whereas like Final Fantasy is RPG, but it's like wandering around and shit. This is like Grand Theft Auto mixed with like Borderlands, a little bit of Final Fantasy, but I think it's like the newest Final Fantasy where it's like more.
Mm-hmm.
Moving around and like chopping bitches.
A lot of people are saying that it's meant to be played on a very high PC rig. That's how they built it. So much like when we were talking about earlier with movies, that's how they meant this to play. So they built it for that, downscaling it to consoles, which are, just to say it bluntly, like inferior computing wise.
They are,
because if you take even my $1,000 computer is going to be better than a $300 system. That's purely just how it is.
Killer. Yeah,
but it's like if you take into account that most people have multi-$1,000 PCs, and that's what this game was made to play on, your PS4 is going to catch on fire if you don't have a Pro, because it's going to try to run it at 14 frames.
My Pro's already catching on fire half the damn time. I just have the fire extinguisher chilling on the side.
So pretty much verdict says if you don't have a PC, you're not going to like this game, because realistically, with all the issues they're having, if you were to take consoles out of it, there's no way they'd be over a 5. That's just not.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If it's at 2.4, not counting PS4, there's no way that if you took away Xbox, they'd be like, oh yeah, it's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I said, the Series X is supposed to be playing better because the Series X is a higher performing console than the PlayStation in certain, like the majority of the aspects graphical wise, but it's like it plays slightly better. There is review footage, and it's like, okay, if you're playing on the Series X, you're not going to have too many hiccups.
Yeah,
compared to other things. If you're playing on the PlayStation 5, you're going to have some hiccups too, because it's supposed to be played better on PC right now. But it's like if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation 4, don't buy it until you get the next generation. Maybe it'll be on sale.
That's fair. All right, so let's switch gears here and talk about the new things that are coming to Disney.
Yes, Disney had their annual don't give up on us, our stockholders. Please, we need your money. And here's all the things that are coming out. They were going to be coming out sooner, but because of the world ending right now, we couldn't do that.
Yes, and there are definitely very interesting things coming to Disney.
There's many cool things coming out.
Most notably, a lot randomly is, I guess it's not random if you think about the fact of how much Star Wars brings in. A lot of it is through the Star Wars universe.
Yes, so much is happening Star Wars wise. We're having the Kenobi series. We're having Ahsoka getting her own series. We're having Bad Batch. It's like the Clone Wars style of like cartoony 3D generated stuff. We're getting a High Republic type of movie that's like it's going to be before Rogue One is where it would take place. It's going to have the same actor Diego Luna, but he's going to be like the main character before he dies in Rogue One. Spoilers if you haven't watched it. Hayden Christensen's coming back as Vader in that. What else is there? It says there's going to be a new Lando series coming, so I don't know if Donald Glover is going to be reprising his role as that.
What is AHSOKA?
Ahsoka.
What is Ahsoka?
One more thing. They're doing Star Wars Visions where it's going to be like the animatrix style of like cartoon or like Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, but it's going to be Star Wars throughout the universe. It's going to be so good. Ahsoka, quick breakdown. She was Anakin's Padawan before Anakin became Darth Vader. She was going to also become a Jedi after Anakin went crazy and got burnt to a crisp.
Allegedly.
But she renounced the Jedi way, so she is a gray Jedi.
So
And
she's not good but not bad?
Yes. She walks a very thin line where she resents a lot of what the Jedi Council does because she feels like the Jedi Council is not doing things kind of like for the Force. They're doing things because that's how they feel the way the Force should be, even though the Force is saying something completely
This sounds like modern day politics.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
spicy about politics.
But it looks good.
I'm most excited about the fact that Harrison Ford signed on for another installment of Indiana Jones. This is going to be his 5th role, and he's been doing it for like 30-something years. And then, of course, I love The Mandalorian. I'd watch Lando if Donald Glover is in it still. I mean, I never watched the Solo story because I feel like Donald Glover didn't have a big enough part in it. But
It was a good movie. People gave it a lot of shit, but it was a good movie.
And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, wish they would have cast a more diverse crowd. Would have loved a brown person in there to call it Obi-Wan Kenobi just for my own viewing pleasure. But I'm excited that they got Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen because that's actually like that's a huge get to where I'm tired of them expanding the universe and not answering the filler movies. Like eventually you're going to run out of things, so you're going to have to do spin-offs, but it's going to be difficult to do a Ahsoka spin-off if you don't know who that is.
Yes. A lot of that is the Star Wars universe is vast, and they have canon from like the Star Wars canon, like the stuff they made like books wise that people don't really read, like a lot of the Star Wars books, but they also have a lot of fan fiction canon where it's like Matt is a diehard Ahsoka fan and he wrote a story based on Ahsoka traveling here and how she got her white lightsabers, stuff like that, where it's like that's even bigger than the actual canon that Star Wars is originally supposed to be, kind of thing. And if you watch on Netflix the Star Wars The Clone Wars cartoon show that's on there, that fills in a lot of gaps between the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, since I don't follow it as closely, I'm not exactly and that's why
cartoon that came out on Cartoon Network, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm 30, I'm not gonna be watching Cartoon Network for this, but it's actually really good.
That's why I feel like they need to start patching in these questions with shows like the Obi-Wan story, where you're going to explain all that kind of stuff, because then when you start saying like, okay, and this person from this cartoon that you've probably never seen, and then this guy who was in the animated Clone Wars, not the Star Wars Clone Wars, I feel like they're going to end up walking a very fine line of turning into Marvel or DC, to where you have like the Marvel Avengers where completed product makes total sense, or DC where they're like, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash on Netflix, and then Justice League.
There we go. We're all here. Yeah, it's just I'm excited because the Obi-Wan thing, they're saying it's going to be like 6 episodes, but they're going to be longer episodes, like 45 minutes, so like
That's all
maybe
you
an
need.
hour. And it's just going to be a little bridge of what happened after he lopped off Anakin's legs and then took him to the planet and then gave him to his only family that he has left. And then what happens to Princess Leia because she goes the opposite route and becomes high royalty. And then there's the Ahsoka series. I am kind of confused on how that's going to work. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, if it's going to be like a mini series like Obi-Wan, or if it's going to be like The Mandalorian, because she dies.
Spoilers.
This isn't spoilers because you watched the last Star Wars.
I didn't.
She was in it. And what else? Clone Wars starts and she's like 16, 17-ish. She's really young. But in the newest episode, or not the newest, the last episode of Mandalorian.
Don't spoil that.
I'm not. She's like mid to late 20s. Or I guess late 20s, early 30s.
Does she play an important role in the Star Wars universe?
Yes.
So see, like that's what I mean of if they fill in these things,
not like Anakin wise,
yeah,
but like
important enough to have like they're doing one about Lando.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like if as long as they're important enough, but they have to cover the backstory to make sure like the lore is readily available to be like, okay, well, let's reference this in this movie. And that's why this person's important is because cameo here. So like the fact that they bring her in the Mandalorian means that they are in fact trying to set up
for trying to weave the universes closer together. So it's,
which I would rather see rather than
exciting.
I'd rather see that than them do like Star Wars 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. Oh, and they're doing Star Wars, a movie, 2 of them. I don't know if they're both going to be movies or if one of them, Star Wars Rogue Squadrons is going to be the movie, I think, but I don't know who's directing it. I think it might be that, what's the guy that directed Ragnarok? He's New Zealand. Takiti, why some, I don't know. He's Korg on Ragnarok.
Is that the guy who's like he's
the big rock guy.
I stood so I mastered the art of standing so still I'm imperceptible to the human eye.
No, he's the rock guy in Ragnarok and Endgame, and he's like carries around that big slug cockroach looking guy.
I feel like I know who you're talking about. I'm almost placing.
You guys might know his name. I can't say his name. It's too foreign for my
Star Wars Rogue Squadron's a video game.
Yes, it
that's not
came out last year.
It's not what
so cool.
Meant to freaking Google Wikipedia. I didn't donate $3 to you for you to fuck me. I was trying to pull up like a movie poster or something. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Star Wars lore. I've watched like the main movies except for the last 2 episodes. So episodes 8 and 9 of the Star Wars saga. I haven't seen those. And I also haven't seen like a solo story or anything too obscure. Like I haven't watched Clone Wars. I've been told I need to watch it because it is actually very interesting. And really I just feel like
with that, what?
I just feel like they need to be very careful about how they navigate it so they don't get a DC universe type of thing going.
Yes, they do. I was just going to say, if you watch Solo, at the very end, Darth Maul comes out.
Interesting. And so then that would tie into episode.
If you watch the cartoon, if you don't watch the cartoon, you thought he just died because he got lopped in half and then fell down the corridor on, what was it, Tatooine? Is that where he got lopped in half from?
I believe
Phantom
so.
Menace. But it's like, okay, that's what happened to him. But in the cartoon, it's not. Some other big shit happened along the way.
So are they going to ever come out with like the Marvel thing? You can see an overview of how to watch each of the movies. Are they ever going to come out with that?
I'm pretty sure they are, if they haven't already.
Because it's like I need to know exactly how to watch them for the story to make sense.
Yeah, like with Solo, you don't need to watch it in a certain order.
Okay.
But you can like watch Solo, or you can watch Rogue One. That's the one we watched in theaters.
Mm.
And then you can watch the original trilogy. And then you watch the newer ones. Is like how it came out. But then if you want to watch it in like actual order, Rogue One, or sorry, it's the first three, the newest three ones, the Phantom Menace,
Yeah, episodes 1
Revenge of
through
the
3.
Sith, and then those ones, and then you go to like the three right there, and then you go to the other ones, the Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens. That the names aren't in order, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So it's like as long as I can watch them in order to know the lore, I don't mind too much. But
Yeah, you can watch them in any order. I guess you don't have to, but if you watch them in the original order they came out in, it would make sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like the original three that came out in our parents' age, they have enough lore and back stuff behind it where you can still get the gist of like, oh my god, who's this big scary guy Vader? Oh my god, what is this? Like that. They do enough. They do enough in there where it makes enough sense where you can watch it without it. The original or the newer three, mid three. I don't even know what you call the first saga.
The first saga is the original trilogy.
Well, I meant like the original, or not the original, the three, the Phantom Menace, Revenge of the
I think people just call those
Clone Wars,
like,
and then Revenge of the
I don't know
Revenge of the Sith.
I don't know if those necessarily have a name as far as I know.
I don't know. Yeah, there's like you watch those three, and then the 70s ones, and then Rogue One. Or sorry, I'll send it to you after. I'm getting myself confused.
And then I'll watch them in that
There's
order.
too many Star Wars. There's too many Star Wars names.
Sorry, I just got a text. Yeah, it's so definitely then I'd watch them in that order. Let's see. Let's shift to our last little thing. Can you guess it? Did you want to start with mine or yours?
Let's start with yours.
Okay, so luckily I already have all my stuff pulled up because I have all the control in Zoom. So Santa's packing heat.
Does it have to do with anything with sex?
No, you're a pervert.
Does it have to do with don't touch me, I don't know you? And then he whips out his piece. Gun, not
nothing to do with sex, Tony. No. It is a story that has happened recently.
Santa got rid of his reindeer and picked up a new Mercedes-Benz during the Christmas sales.
No, not at all.
I don't know then.
All right. So there was a mall Santa recently in the news who said that so this little boy goes up to this Santa and says, well, this is what I want for Christmas. I would like a Nerf gun. And the Santa says, no guns. Absolutely not. You can ask your parents, but Santa's not going to bring you a gun. And this entire thing came up to where the mother even was saying, so I have the story pulled up here. The mother was even saying, quote, you'll still get it as he continues to cry. And she's trying to console their kid. But this Santa randomly just decided she took a social justice stance and was saying, oh yeah, there's no guns here. So I have a video so we can all have our hearts broken because that's what I do. So let me get that queued up, and I need to watch a commercial so that way it'll have my screen. Oh god. Come on.
I don't know. What? No guns. Nerf gun. No, not even a Nerf gun.
You can see him looking at his parents because Santa just told him no.
That's fine, but I can't bring it to you. But what else would you like? lots of other toys. There's Legos.
And then he
bicycles.
he continues to try to tell this
cars and
kid what
trucks.
this kid wants.
What do you think?
This kid is 4 years old.
It's okay. Your dad.
And then he proceeds to make this child cry. The story has the greatest twist. This kid's father is a police officer.
Oh, God.
So he's wanting to be like his dad with a Nerf gun, which is adorable. And it turns out that the only reason the mother was filming was because the dad was on patrol at that time.
Yeah,
and she was trying, because it was his first time actually talking to Santa, because he's 4.
Yeah.
And the mother's like he says he wants a Nerf gun, and then the mother assumes Santa didn't hear him, so she said, no, just a Nerf gun. And the Santa says, no guns. Next. But that's why can you guess it, because
so sad.
you're a piece of garbage if a kid says I want a Nerf gun, you're like, nope, Santa doesn't deal with guns.
I understand if that's how that person that is playing Santa feels about this. That's like, okay, if he's against guns, and then that's your stance, but don't say no, because you're going to ruin Christmas for that kid forever by you saying that to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I understand there's people in the family there's people that are just completely against guns. There's people that are indifferent with them. There's people that are just diehard. I want every gun. And it's just like, okay, that's your own house, but don't spill it out and with everyone else that wants to hear it, especially with the little kid. I mean, there's no way that Santa knew that his dad was like an actual cop and stuff like that, that carries a gun. But it's just like, it's just so preposterous to put your beliefs as he thinks you're Santa. He's 4. And it's just like, so and now with my kids, we've taught them that Santa doesn't give big gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Santa gives little gifts, like,
because he has a lot of boys and girls to
there's lots of kids, but also it's like, I mean, growing up, we didn't have the best childhood, but it was just like growing up.
That's because Santa hates poor kids and colored kids.
Santa gave those kids Nintendo Switches, or gave them Game Boy Colors at our age, and then Santa gave us a pair of socks. So does that mean they were nicer than us?
Yeah.
I don't want Sydney to go to school and be like, Santa just gave me a Nintendo Switch and I got this. And they're just like, we got a jacket and clothes. And it's like, money is tight all around with different families, different things, especially now more than ever. But it's just like, I don't want Sydney to have that expectation where some random person is giving them an expensive gift, where we're giving them the tube socks. Fuck that. Santa's getting them the tube socks.
Santa wants you to be warm. I want you to have fun.
I want you to have the Switch. So that's just.
But so if you believe the Santa was in the right, then go ahead and tweet me, leave a comment in our YouTube.
You're done.
Yeah, find a way to contact me, Man SLC or Juice Pack Matt, on any of my platforms, and I'm more than willing to have this discussion. That Santa is a piece of garbage and should not be a Santa for pushing their rights on small kids while they are telling them that he is Santa.
I mean, he could have just said, sure. What else do you want, kid?
And anytime I've had a dealing with like mall Santas, they say, "Oh, well, we'll see if you end up being a good boy." Ho ho ho! That kind of stuff. Like, they don't say.
You could have just started with that.
They don't say,
that could have been it.
Nope.
I'd have been like, no, kid.
He's like,
no.
Do you want Legos? Do you want Legos? No, it's fine. Don't cry. And then he starts to cry.
Yeah, and it's just like.
But yeah, the funniest twist of that story to me is the fact that the kid's dad's a cop and he just wants to be more like his dad. So let's go over to yours. We never did the sound. Can I get the sound, please?
Bump. Can you guess it? And today's is, we've started a movement.
Does this have to do with, I'm assuming no, social justice. I'm assuming we started a movement. Thick thighs save lives.
No, but that would be a good name for like a porn.
He's dying, nurse. I need to sit on his face. Oh, I'm sorry.
I can feel it working. I can feel the thickness.
Your thickness is bringing him back to life, Mrs. Claus.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh God. We started a movement. Can I get a hint?
It started here.
In Utah?
Yeah.
We started a movement here in Utah. What could Utah have started? Closing. I don't know. I honestly, what could Utah have started as a movement? Wearing magical underwear.
No.
You gave me a hard one. So if
Santa's packing heat, that was a hard one.
Let's see. We started a movement. We as Utahns have started a movement. What could we do that the rest of the states would want to emulate? The fact that we're now starting to do tier 3 gasoline?
No.
I don't know.
More monoliths have been appearing throughout the world.
Shit, of course.
That
Of course, that's what we started.
I'm going to go through this whole list, and there's a lot of countries. I only thought it was a few, like maybe, I mean, last time I checked, there was only like 3 or 4, and they were different states. But started in central Utah. There was one in California, Romania, Belgium, Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Canada, Ukraine, UK, Switzerland, Sweden, Spain, Russia, Slovenia, Poland, and the list is counting. They're appearing and then they're disappearing. So not aliens, like I said last time. Most likely what I'm thinking it is like some people here made this as a joke, and then other people around the country are like, it'd be funny, Dave, if we did this here too and we built it. And then other people are just like, dude, it's in France now. Let's make it in Italy. Stuff like that. Or it could be like The Simpsons, where the end is near episode with that like skeleton angel thing that Lisa found. And everyone thought that world was ending.
Oh,
but it was actually the start of the new mini mall that opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some kind of global free marketing thing happening right now.
Can you? That's actually the one I would bet on. Is it's some kind of guerrilla marketing campaign.
Yeah,
which that would be hands down the most successful guerrilla marketing campaign ever.
Yep.
So that was a good one. That was a good one for you because it was nice, topical,
lighthearted and shit.
Lighthearted. So I'm glad we ended on yours and not me calling that Santa a communist.
Oh, before we go, I had to write it down. I got the Star Wars series because I couldn't figure. I kept saying it out loud. So before we go, this is including like some of the random or the non Star Wars movies that are also Star Wars, like Solo and Mandalorian.
Okay.
If you wanted to do it, Solo first, because that is young Han Solo before everything happened.
Makes sense.
The original trilogy that happened in the 70s.
So Solo 4, 5, 6.
Yes. And then the new series.
1, 2, 3.
The Hayden Christensen one, where Phantom Menace, Revenge of the
Wouldn't
Sith,
you want to watch those
Clone
first?
Wars.
Because Darth Vader's made in the 3rd one and Darth Vader's in the 4th movie?
You can. I'm just like the way I would watch it.
Okay.
Is those ones. And then The Mandalorian takes place after that, in that time frame.
Okay, wait, I talked during the middle of it, so that's a fuck up on my part. Solo, 4, original trilogy, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Mandalorian goes alongside 1, 2, 3.
Mandalorian happens right after the Revenge of the Sith. It's like 25 years after that.
Okay, so it goes Solo story, original trilogy, 1, 2, 3. Mandalorian's 25 years after movie number 3, but chronologically before movie number 4.
Yes, it's after number 3 of the original one. And then the Rey series, the new Star Wars saga that just ended.
Then 7, 8, 9.
Yes. So if you wanted
the way you want to what about Rogue One?
Rogue One would fit. Oh shit, I totally forgot about Rogue One. God. Rogue One would fit. I know. Rogue One could fit like right before the original series, like the Solo, Rogue One.
That makes sense. So right before the original series. So it would go Solo, Rogue One. So chronologically, Solo, Rogue One, 1, 2,
Hayden
3,
Christensen,
1, 2, 3, and then
the
4,
original
5,
series, 4,
no.
5, 6.
1, 2, 3, Mandalorian, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Okay. What about the cartoon?
The Clone Wars you can watch while you're right
can
after
watch-
the Hayden Christensen series.
Okay, so Solo, 1, 2, 3. You can watch Clone Wars if you want. Rogue One, Mandalorian, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
No, 4, 5, 6, and then the Mandalorian.
4, 5, 6.
Mandalorian takes place after the Darth Vader dies.
That makes sense. Oh yeah, because they talk about it in the first one. That's why Gus is there.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to start it all over again.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not. I
mean, you can honestly watch it in any, but that's the one I would watch it in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, now we know. So if you need to go back review it. Let us know. We're trying some new tactics for sure. And especially with me now that I could, they actually updated Zoom. So now I have the Pro. They let you screen share portions. So I'm definitely trying that. So if you watch the YouTube video,
watch the YouTube video.
Yeah. So, and then we'll see ways to tweak it, make it better in the coming parts. And then next week, when you see our feed, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise in it for you. Should we let them be surprised or should we tell them?
We should leave it as a surprise.
Okay, well, it's going to be a surprise. So next week, when you listen to this, tell your friends, tell them to listen to this episode. This is by far, we're trying a new format. I actually think it worked a lot better. We're recording on a Saturday midday instead of a Sunday night. So there's no time constraints here now that I have Zoom Pro.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, as usual, SLC, Juice Pack, Matt for mine. Come watch me on Twitch later tonight. Juicebox Tony for him. And any suggestions on topics, go ahead and let us know. Talk to you guys next week.
Okay, goodbye.